Allman, Fox News.
For more now, I'm joined by KTVU political analyst Brian Sobel. Brian, for those who don't know, the nuclear option changes how many votes are required for this to move forward.
Right, it moves from 60, Ken, down to a simple majority of 51. It virtually, well, it does guarantee that Neil Gorsuch will be confirmed for the Supreme Court.
And why has this been such a long-standing Senate tradition to have 60 votes required instead of a simple majority?
Well, first of all, it's not a constitutional element. It's a rule of the Senate, but it is one of these rules that have been in place for many, many years. It was based on, you know, you need to be more than a simple majority, but not a number that you can't achieve. And so up until this point, there hasn't been this debate for a Supreme Court justice. There have been the nuclear options pushed or employed for lower courts. And in fact, you know, one of the architects of that is Harry Reid of Nevada, who employed that when there was a different body in control.
And Democrats couldn't get the judges in place that they wanted because they didn't have enough of the 60 votes needed to pass.
Right.
But the whole idea of having 60 votes is that you want some other you want people to cross over from the other side, so there's some consensus instead of extreme liberal conservative justices.
Ideologies, which we're seeing in such detail in districts where, you know, people will never be unelected because they're tailored to that district, what we call gerrymandering, and so you don't want to have that in the Senate, where, by the way, comity, that word is often used, is so important. Elegant debate, not the rough and tumble of the House of Representatives.
Mitch McConnell, who invoked the nuclear option today, said this would be the first and last time that it would be used.
Well, you know, they say a lot of things in Washington, D.C. Right. We'll see. I mean, in theory, they could, at some point in the future, undo this action and reinstate it, for example, if it didn't seem to work very well. Nothing's permanent. It's a rule of the Senate.
So this nuclear option has been used for this particular vote. Can it be used for future votes?
Well, the word is on Supreme Court, yes, until it's reversed. But it clearly and explicitly does not apply to legislation. And that was the two sacrosanct areas that were left, the Supreme Court and legislation. And this leaves allows filibuster for legislation and now removes it for the Supreme Court.
Okay, so when President Trump and the White House are trying to get other laws passed outside of the purview of the courts, and it gets through the House and the White House wants it, and it runs into the Senate where you need 60 votes, then you could still have an issue.
You could have a filibuster unless somebody decided to take the decision that also ought to be taken off the table.
All right, Brian, thanks for explaining all that to us.
Well, it's complicated, and but it's a very tense time, really, in Washington, D.C.